Hello, and in this video we're just going to go over some HTML basics. So in the last video I talked to you about pretty much introduced HTML and CSS, and I covered some very basics as well, but I'm probably going to just go over those again in this one. However, this video is going to be pretty HTML specific. So this one is going to be HTML basics, because you kind of need to know HTML before you can really apply any CSS, and then the next video is going to be CSS basics, so we can start applying some basic styling. So HTML, made up of tags, we've got that much. So we ended our last lesson with this very simple code. We started up a strong tag, which remember is just the strong keyword in triangular brackets. Then we had our actual content, which is hello, and then we closed our strong tag or a strong section by just doing triangular bracket slash strong, so it's the end of strong, and then we closed our triangular bracket. Now this really, as a whole page, isn't really very valid and very good, so let's just go ahead and in fact let's remove this for now, we'll rewrite it a little bit later. Now all of your HTML page should really be in HTML tags. So again, we start our HTML tags by having the HTML keyword in triangular brackets, and then we close it by having slash HTML in triangular brackets. Now, inside of this, these HTML tags, in your actual markup really, we have two main sections, the head and the body. Now, think of these as a bit like your head and body. The head kind of does the thinking and the stuff before you need to actually do things, and then the body, it's kind of the actual beef, it's the actual content, it's the actual stuff. So, and it actually does the stuff. So if we go ahead and and do our head and body sections, that didn't quite sound right. And with a note quickly on code formatting, some people like to have these indented, so they're like they'll have their HTML tags, and then they'll have body and head indented inside these. I personally don't like that. I like having these parts in line and then anything inside the sections to be indented like that. Really is a matter of personal taste, but I prefer it this way. And by the way, if you haven't done any program or anything like this before, indentation is just where you put a tab space before a line like so, and it pretty much shows you most of the time, I don't want to say the word scope, but it shows you the scope. So we know now if these are indented that these are all inside our HTML tags, because they're all shifted over one. But I think it's pretty obvious, so I don't like doing that. Anywho, inside our body section, which is where you put all of your content and the actual things, you put the majority of your stuff in the body section. So if we then put back what we had before, which is hello in strong, which remember puts kind of emphasis and strength onto our text. So in the head section, we don't really have any content or anything like that. What we'll do is we'll have things like our CSS style sheet will be linked up here, up here, and we also have our title of our page. So do you see what I mean? It's not really the content, it's kind of other things that are required for our page. Just style, the little icon called a fav icon, your CSS, your JavaScript, so most of those are all going to go in the head. But yeah, title tags in our head section can set the title of our page. So we might want to say this is an HTML page, and we can then end our title tag, and that's going to specify our title of our page to be this is an HTML page, exclamation mark. If we just go ahead and save this and open it in a web browser of your choice, I'm using Safari simply because it's easy, and we can see now we have hello in strong, and this is an HTML page as a title. Now if we just go back to the text editor, by the way, I think I forgot to mention, you can use any text editor you like as long as it can save these files, which most can, and I'm using Sublime Text if you want to know. But yeah, you might be thinking, what's the point in all this, all these different sections? What's the point of having HTML tags? If I remove them, then, I mean, if I then go back to Safari, this looks exactly the same. And you know, I'm not sure if this will actually work as I'm intending it to, but if we then just have it like this, we still have our title and our main content, even though we've got rid of our head and body sections. Why not just do this? Isn't this a lot easier? Well, I guess you could consider it as easier, but it's not A, neat and tidy, the idea of having markup, or in particular HTML, XHTML markup, is everything's supposed to be very neat, logical, and structured. Basically, the more sections you have, in my eyes, the better. That's not quite always true, because it can get a bit complex, and sometimes it's better to simplify it. But in this case, it's better to have all these sections, so we actually know what we're doing. We know, okay, this is the whole of the HTML document. We know, okay, this is our head section. This is going to do the thinking and the stuff before we display the content. And then we have our body section, which is actually going to display our content. It also means that we can apply stylings to these, so I can apply styling to the body section, rather than maybe screwing things up. I don't know if I wrote content in the head section, I don't even know. It's just an obscene thing to do. You would never do that. But the idea is, yeah, A, your markup's supposed to be neat, tidy, and logical, and B, it's not valid, because there are kind of, quote, rules, unquote, to play by, and you don't have to follow these, and most pages will not validate to 100% correct in the W3C, which is the worldwide consortium thing, which basically manages the standard of HTML and the standards of CSS and a few other languages and stuff. Most websites won't play 100% by them, so it probably won't validate. I know at the time of recording this, my website doesn't validate properly because of some special CSS3 properties I'm doing and cross-browser things to make it work in IE and stuff, and that isn't valid, but that actually makes it better for my users. So you don't necessarily have to be 100% valid, but it's good to be as valid as you can be when you're writing your markup and also in your CSS style sheets. But anyway, I kind of rambled about that a bit. Some main terminology that we should remember, really. Markup, I told you this last video. Markup is a piece or any section of HTML code, or in fact other markup languages such as XML, XHTML, blah 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 blah. A tag is one of these guys here. It's a keyword or a command word or a command or whatever you want to call it in triangular brackets. And we have closing tags, which are like this. And note, I'm not sure if I should really go over this here, but if we want to have a tag that, let's say, for example, did a line break, so just like if you're in a word processing program like Word and you press enter and it goes to the next line, if we wanted to do this, how would we do that? Because it doesn't really have a start and an end, does it? It just kind of happens, just kind of is. Well, whenever you have a tag like this, you open triangular brackets, you type the tag's keyword, and then we just put a slash at the end of the keyword and then end the triangular brackets. And this shows that it's, what's the word for it? I think it's called an open tag, or I don't know. Basically, it doesn't need a closing tag. It's just it's fine on its own, and that will validate absolutely fine if you have this slash at the end there. Anywho, that was going a bit off topic. So this is pretty much the main basics of HTML and creating nice looking markup. And in the next video, we're going to go over some CSS basics to help style this a bit. So that's the end of this video, and have a nice day.